Hi guys, and welcome to episode 77 of M1 Yarns and the Michigan Makers podcast. I'm Jamie, your host and the yarn dyer behind m1yarns.com. And in today's episode, I have got new whips. So as we've been trying to do in the last few episodes, I'm going to kick off this episode with a little fiber lesson. If you're new here, welcome. I recently started learning to spin yarn on an e-spinner. In specific, I have the electric eel wheel 6, and recently I plied all the fiber I had spun over the last 3.5 months, and yeah, it's going well. I'm really enjoying it think I feel like I'm getting the groove of it. And so today's fiber that I'd love to talk about, I think I showed you this last episode. No, maybe I showed you a different one. Anyway, I just finished plying up this brown wool, and I plied it with a like pinkish mohair that I had like some leftovers, almost a full skein. And so I figured I had the right amount. And this was like a bobbin and a half, I'd say. Anyway, plying it with mohair yarn, like a skein of already, spun and dyed mohair, was a fun way to just practice plying. And I'm really happy with the results. Let me show you like a good bit of it. I'm probably not, I don't know, there we go. This is a nice bit. So I couldn't figure out what this brown wool was until the other day I was organizing a stack of junk on my knitting table and realized it's Coopworths. I bought this, now where did I buy this? I found the card. I'll try to insert it on the screen here, but I will link the company below who I bought this from. Anyway, I love browns, and I think this is just a really fun combination of the bright pink. So out of today's reading from the Fleece Guide, or the Field Guide to Fleece, really briefly, let's learn about Coopworths, which I'll insert a photo of some of the sheep. This is a versatile, sturdy wool known for its lengthy staples, well-defined crimp, and luster. Similar in feel to Border Leicester, Perrindale, or Romney, Coopworths is best suited to outerwear and durable household textiles, although some fleece may make garments that work well in limited contact with the skin. Let's see if it's itchy. I would not say that it bothers my super sensitive skin. I generally wear like a t-shirt or tank under just about anything, no matter what. So like if it does irritate my neck, I'll tend to wear like a collared shirt with it. But anyway, I'll tell you what I have planned for that yarn in a moment. Its slight crisp hand gives definition to stitch or weave structure. It felt moderately well. The origin of this sheep is New Zealand, and it comes in white, gray, and brown. Its staple length is 5 to 8 inches, and it says, some Coopworths flocks produce much coarser wool than others. The fiber's grade designations can differ depending on where the sheep are from. Super interesting. So if I'm not mistaken, I believe these are from Michigan. Maybe Michigan makes good Coopworths. They're either from Michigan or New York. I'll put it on the screen. Anyway, so now that I have plied up all the wool that I have spun so far, I feel like now it's time to dive into one of the big bats of roving that I purchased over the last few months at various fiber festivals. And I've got some of it hanging on the wall here. Whew, this is tough. I bought this at Rhinebeck as well, and I think I might spin this next. But then the question is what I might ply it with. Would I just ply it with itself? I don't know. Oh, and going back to the Coopworths, Yeah, I think it's this. Mountain View Coopworths. Cool. Anyway, so I don't have specific plans for this yet, but stay tuned. And if you're new here, this is a mostly knitting related podcast with the occasional spinning, but I am on such a spinning high that I just wanted to share that with you, because I think I got into spinning by being influenced by other podcasters like Andrea Mowry, Emily Curtis of Gently Chaotic Knits. She spins. Who else? There are quite a few podcasters who I watch regularly who just kind of really finally inspired me to just dive into the spinning, rabbit hole. So, with all that being said, if you're watching this, oh, it's snowing. We're having really nice sunshine, which is creating like good lighting in here. But I guess it just started snowing. If you're watching this when I release the episode, it is early December, and I live here in Michigan, in Metro Detroit. And this is a tough time of year. We've had daylight savings, so the days are shorter. The weather is not always the best, especially here in Michigan. My vitamin D levels are probably low. And I do tend to get a little bit of like the winter blues, not like seasonal depression, but more like a lack of motivation, which probably some of you will say, that's seasonal depression. It's more of just like, this is the time of year to slow down, get cozy. Year-end reviews have you thinking about like, what do you want to do in the year ahead, setting goals and that sort of thing. And that's totally where I'm at. And it's causing me to look at the projects I want to make and the things I want to do next year. And I'm just really taking things slower, especially because my show season for my yarn business is over for the year. I don't have any shows until April. And so this affords me a lot of downtime to kind of take the pressure off, take my foot off the gas, and just coast along. Maybe not even knit with my yarn, just knit what I want to knit for me, not so much of like, oh, I have to do something for the shop. And I haven't been very active on my website lately, so forgive me for that. But I think that it's important, especially as a creative. You can't always be at your peak. You've got to have kind of some lows, some cruising, less pressure so that you can build up that creativity again. All that being said, I am brainstorming what projects I want to make next year. And actually, I probably should sit down and create that. Every year I do create a Make 9, which I know a lot of people aren't big fans of, but it helps me focus on like the 9 central patterns that I want to make in the year ahead. And so with that in mind, I pulled up the Make 9 that I made a year ago for 2023, and I took a look at it to figure out what I have actually made and what I have totally scrapped. And I will insert the photo on the screen here. And I figured out that I actually made 4 of the 9, which I think is pretty darn good. A couple of them I had cast on and pretty quickly frogged. I realized it just wasn't for me. And a couple of them I was going to cast on and realized, you know what, I don't think this is my aesthetic actually, and I'd rather go with something that I will get lots of wear out of, like what I'm wearing. This is the warm-up sweater by Espace Tricot, and it's in my yarn in the colorway Harvest in, I want to say DK held with mohair. I wear this sweater all the time. The fact that it's basically just a, classic crew neck. I did do a fold over collar as a modification, and I do like that, although I wish I had made it a few rows longer. And so with that in mind, I'm really kind of thinking about what I want to make next year. I do have cast-on-itis though right now. I really am enjoying casting on new projects. So let me tell you about them. Speaking of, one of them is a scrap busting project, which I do every December. I take all the little balls, leftovers, and whatnot from projects throughout the year, and I put it together in some sort of fun, scrappy project. And let me insert a few photos of scrap projects of years gone by. I've done pants, I've done cardigans. I think that's it. Anyway, so recently, if you've been around here, you know that I just knit a skirt. And actually that was made out of leftovers as well. And it was the Simple Ass Warmer by Colorwork Knitting, I believe. I'll insert it below. All the details of everything I talk about are below. I love that skirt so much. Not only how it looks, how it feels, how it wears. I love it. I mean, it's amazing. So I wanted to knit it again. So I have cast on another ass warmer. And this is all, let me insert a photo, in fact, of the yarn that I'm using so you kind of get a feel for it. So what I'm doing is creating like mini piles and then combining strands of similar tones to create a bulky yarn that's marled. The pattern is written so that you cast on here and knit down and then come back, pick up, and knit a waistband. But I thought that was silly, so I cast on a double layer waistband, purl a row so you get a ridge right there. And I will come back, I left one stitch open in the back. I'll come back and insert a strand of elastic in the waistband. So then I just started knitting the pattern from there. This is probably maybe 2.5 evenings of light knitting on a size 10 needle, I believe. Wait, yeah, I have it right here. Yep, US 10, which I believe is what the pattern calls for. I am a 30-inch waist, I want to say. The last one I knit was a little bit big, but the elastic helped. But it kind of sat like, I wanted it like kind of a high-waisted thing. I'll insert a photo of the last one I knit. Anyway, so this will probably be done lickety-split, and I just love the marled effect. I mean, I think something you have to bear in mind when you knit a scrappy project is that this is not going to be a polished piece, like say for example this is going to be a little bit more wild, a little bit more fun, a little bit more of a work of art. You kind of have to like go with reckless abandon. But anyway, so I cast this on the other day and I cannot wait to wear it. The other cast on I recently started was a temperature blanket that I'm not really following a pattern. I'll just kind of show you. It's all crammed on this. This is a hot mess. This long cord. And I'm just doing it in garter stitch. I cast on 270 stitches on a size 6 needle, and I'm knitting 2 rows per day of the high temperature of Detroit for this year. And obviously I'm starting with January of this year. The green represents 30s, the light blue represents 20s, and this dark blue represents, no, is that right? Yeah, 40s. The yarn is Happy Place by Hobbii, which was a collaboration. Yeah, see my note, the green is the 40s. This is a collaboration with Tony of TL Yarn Crafts, who is a good friend of mine. And this is a DK weight merino cotton blend. This is my 50s yarn. Oh, the blue's the 50s. So we haven't had any days of 40s. I really hope I didn't mess this up because I feel like, oh no, this is 40s. See, this is why I had to write everything on the tags. The light blue is the 30s. 30s, 40s, 50s. It's 270 stitches of garter, which I don't mind. A lot of people don't like that. And there are temperature blankets out there that are a lot more designed, but I just wanted something basic. And this is going to basically be, I mean, it's more than a lap blanket. Not quite for two people, but like big and cozy for one person. So I am hoping, a lot of people start temperature blankets in January, which if you're thinking of, this is a great time to prepare. This is a great time to look at patterns and yarn. I do highly recommend this Happy Place yarn by Hobbii because the wool cotton blend is really affordable, but it's also gonna last and wear nicely. A lot of people knit temperature blankets starting in January and then throughout the year. So like the 2 rows a day. But I would like to get this done before next spring. I calculated how long it takes me to do a row, which is 7 minutes. So a day's worth of temperatures, which is 2 rows, is about 15 minutes. This whole blanket is going to take me 90 hours of knitting. So for those of you who love math, that's that. So I'm excited to add some more colors. I had hoped to have more ready by the time I podcasted today, but you know, such is life. I was going to tell you my plans for this yarn. And my plan is that I want to knit a hot water bottle cover, which I already bought the hot water bottle, so I would know the dimensions. And I'm going to design a cover. So that might be a pattern and kit in the shop upcoming. But I'm going to, for my first go round of designing, use this hand spun yarn. And then I'm going to do it again with commercial yarn so I can really test the gauge for the pattern writing purposes. But this will be just like for me. So that's what I have planned for this. So I think once I finish the skirt, I'll probably make the hot water bottle cover. And then the other project that I would really love to finish by year's end is the Chouquettes pullover, which I think I showed last time. I cast on, I was supposed to knit a ribbed mock neck, but I forgot. So I'll come back and do that later. This like bumpy stitch is called the Trinity stitch. It is really slow. You purl knit, purl into the same stitch, and then you knit 3 together into the next stitch. So every stitch requires like 3 times the average time to knit the stitch. So it's going slow. That's okay. This is the back. I've already split for the armpits. And I'm about to shape the armpit, and then I'll basically do the front, and then I'll rejoin under the bust. I really love the color and the texture. This yarn is Forge by Hudson & West in the colorway Honey. This was an exclusive at Rhinebeck 21. And I can only do so many rows of this before I kind of need to set it aside because it's such a slog. But I think when it's finished, when all's said and done, I will really love it. And in case you're wondering, this is all hard to balance on my lap. This is seed stitch for the shoulders. Let me insert a photo of the pattern sample so you get a feel for how it looks. But yeah, that's my only other whip. If you've stuck around this long, thank you. And because you've stuck around this long, let me share with you something really exciting that is coming to the shop. Probably to coincide with the release of this episode, but I don't have a name for it yet. So if by the time I edit this, I've figured out one, I will insert it on the screen. If not, just head over to my website. Basically what I'm doing for the new year is dyed to order sweater quantities on a special promotion. So I will put all the details below, or you can head over to my website and get all the scoop. But basically, if you have a pattern in mind that you're planning for 2024 and you need a sweater quantity in a colorway that is just for you in exactly what your vision is, basically what I'm offering is that you can purchase 4 or more skeins of your choosing from a selection of bases, and we can do a FaceTime or Zoom to sit together and create the colorway that you want for the pattern that you either do or maybe not have in mind. So we'll do like a little color consultation where I'll ask you some questions about what you want in the colorway, what you feel comfortable wearing, and from there we'll create a custom colorway just for your sweater quantity. So I'm really excited about that. I do love doing dyed to order and limited run colorways. So this is something new and exciting, and for limited time it's going to be a special promotion for that. So like I said, details below and on my website. So with that, I think that is all I have for you today. Thanks for joining me, and until next time, happy knitting. Bye!